He thought the zoo trip would be just another routine outing, a chance for a grieving father to show his blind daughter the world through words she could no longer see. But what began as an innocent day among animals became something far more terrifying because of one stranger. A black nanny, quiet and unassuming, stepped into their lives. And in doing so, she changed everything. But not in the way anyone expected. Derek Ashford wasn't used to losing. At 42, he had money, influence, respect, everything a man could want. But none of it mattered after his wife, Claire, passed away from a sudden illness, leaving him alone to raise their only child, 8-year-old Emily. Emily was blind. The accident that took her sight when she was just a toddler was something Derek never forgave himself for. Since then, he had built his entire world around protecting her, suffocatingly so. And now, 6 months after Claire's death, he was desperate. Desperate to fill the void for Emily. Desperate to prove he could still be a father. So, he did something he rarely did. He listened to advice. A therapist had suggested outings, safe adventures, as she called them. Something to give Emily new experiences through sound, touch, and smell. And that's how Derek found himself at the gates of the city zoo on a warm Saturday morning, holding his daughter's hand like it was the last rope keeping him from falling apart. "Daddy, what does a giraffe look like?" Emily's voice was small, curious. Derek swallowed hard, tightening his grip on her tiny hand. Tall baby girl, taller than any tree you've ever felt. Their necks stretched up to the sky. Emily giggled softly, tilting her head as if she could see it in her mind. And do they sound funny? Just then, a giraffe let out a deep, guttural grunt. Emily laughed, clapping her hands. Derek smiled for the first time in days. For a brief moment, he thought, maybe this was working. Maybe today would be good. But fate had other plans. It was near the monkey enclosure where Derek first noticed her, a black woman in her late 20s, standing slightly apart from the crowd. She wasn't dressed like the other visitors. No bright summer clothes, no touristy energy. She wore a simple dark sweater, even though the sun was blazing, and her eyes scanned the crowd as if searching for something. When Emily tugged at Derek's hand and asked to get closer to the fence, the woman suddenly stepped forward. "Careful," she said softly, her voice calm but firm. "That rail's not as steady as it looks." Derek frowned. "Excuse me?" The woman smiled faintly. "I've seen kids lean too hard and almost fall. Just thought I'd warn you." Derek nodded curtly, pulling Emily closer. "Thanks. I've got it under control." The woman tilted her head. "Of course you do." And then she walked away. Something about her unsettled him. As the day went on, Derek couldn't help noticing her again and again at the elephant habitat. She was already there, watching. At the reptile house, she stood by the exit, waiting. At the snack bar, she appeared in line just behind them. Emily, however, seemed drawn to her. At the bird aviary, the woman crouched beside Emily and described the sound of the parrots so vividly that Emily squealed with delight. Derek bristled. Who was this woman? Why was she inserting herself into their day? By the time they reached the petting zoo, Derek's patience had thinned. When he turned to grab Emily a cup of feed pellets, he came back to find the woman kneeling beside his daughter, guiding Emily's hands gently across the back of a goat. Emily's face lit up with joy. "Daddy, I'm touching him." The woman smiled warmly. "Goats are curious. They like to know who's near. Let him smell your hand." Derek snapped. "Hey, step away from my daughter." The woman stood, calm, unbothered. "I meant no harm. Just helping her experience what she can't see." Derek's jaw clenched. We don't need help. But deep down, a chilling thought gnawed at him. How had she known exactly what to say to Emily? They stopped by the tiger enclosure just before noon. Emily tugged Derek's hand, whispering, "Daddy, can she come with us? She makes it easier to see." Derek froze. His daughter wanted the stranger around? Before he could respond, the woman spoke softly. "My name is Grace. Grace Hollins. I work with children like Emily. I used to care for a blind girl." Her voice cracked slightly, as if the memory pained her. She passed away. But when I saw your daughter, I couldn't just walk away. Emily squeezed Derek's hand. Please, Daddy. For the first time, Derek looked into Grace's eyes and saw nothing but sincerity. Still, something about her presence felt too perfect, too coincidental. By the time they reached the exit, Grace was walking beside them. Emily chatted happily, describing the zoo through Grace's words as much as through her father's. Derek remained silent, suspicion burning in his chest. Then it happened. As they passed through the gates, a man in a gray suit, tall and cold-faced, brushed past Derek. He didn't look at him. He didn't look at Emily. He looked only at Grace. And in that fleeting glance, Derek saw it, recognition. Grace stiffened, her smile faltering for just a second. The man vanished into the crowd. Derek's stomach dropped. Who was this Nanny really? Derek strapped Emily into the back seat of his black Mercedes SUV. His hands shook as he adjusted her seatbelt. Grace stood awkwardly nearby, her sweater sleeves pulled over her hands. Emily beamed. Daddy, can Grace come with us for ice cream? Derek's throat tightened. He forced a smile. Not today, sweetheart. Grace bent down, brushing Emily's hair back gently. Next time, maybe? Her voice trembled, and her eyes flicked toward Derek, silently pleading. Then she stepped back, watching as Derek closed the door. As he drove off, Derek's heart pounded. He glanced in the rearview mirror and froze. The man in gray was standing at the edge of the parking lot, watching them leave. Back at the mansion, Derek waited until Emily was upstairs in her playroom before he pulled a note from his pocket. His fingers unfolded it with deliberate care. 4 words. Black ink. Simple. Terrifying. She's in danger. Soon. He read it again and again, his pulse thundering in his ears. Who was she? Emily? Or Grace herself? And why did Grace slip it to his daughter instead of handing it to him directly? Something wasn't adding up. That night, Derek sat alone in his study, nursing a glass of scotch, staring at the flickering flames in the fireplace. He couldn't stop thinking about Grace, about the way Emily lit up around her, about the way Grace had seemed to know exactly how to reach his daughter's heart. And then the call came. His cell phone buzzed across the desk. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. Almost. But instinct made him answer. Mr. Ashford? The voice was male, low, distorted. This is about your daughter. Derek shot upright. Who is this? Listen carefully. The voice continued. The woman you met today, Grace Hollins. She's not who she says she is. Keep her away from your child. Click. The line went dead. Derek's blood ran cold. The next morning, Derek couldn't shake the call. He ordered his head of security, Martin, to dig into Grace's background. By noon, Martin returned with a thick file. Sir, this is strange. Go on. Grace Hollins, no official records of employment in the past 2 years. Before that, she worked at a private care home for children with disabilities. But the facility shut down after a child disappeared. Derek's stomach dropped. Disappeared? Martin nodded grimly. A blind girl. Same age as Emily at the time. Police never solved it. Derek's grip on the file tightened until his knuckles whitened. Could Emily be next? That evening, as Derek tucked Emily into bed, the doorbell rang. Martin answered, only to find Grace standing on the doorstep, her dark sweater pulled tight around her frame, her eyes wide with urgency. I need to speak with Mr. Ashford, she whispered. Derek appeared in the foyer, rage boiling inside him. You stay away from my house. From my daughter. Grace's eyes brimmed with tears. Please listen to me. You don't understand. Emily's in danger. I know about your past, Derek snapped. The missing child. The lies. Grace's lips trembled. That's not the whole story. Please, let me explain before it's too late. Emily's voice floated from upstairs. Daddy, is that Grace? Derek's chest tightened. For a moment, silence hung heavy in the air. Then Derek stepped aside. 5 minutes. Grace slipped inside. They sat in the study, the firelight casting long shadows on the walls. Grace clasped her hands tightly, her voice barely above a whisper. The missing girl. Her name was Sophie. She wasn't just any child. She was my sister's daughter. My niece. Derek frowned. Your niece? Grace nodded. I worked at the care home to be close to her. But one night men came, wealthy men. They took her, and the next day, the facility shut down like it never existed. Derek's chest tightened. You're saying she was kidnapped? Grace's eyes filled with tears. Yes, and those same men, they've been watching your family, because they want Emily next. Derek slammed his fist on the desk. Why? Grace leaned closer, her voice trembling. Because Emily's blindness, it isn't just an accident. It's part of something much bigger, something they planned. Derek's breath caught in his throat. Planned? Before Derek could demand answers, the mansion's power suddenly cut out. Darkness swallowed the room. Emily's scream pierced the silence from upstairs. Daddy! Derek bolted to his feet, his heart pounding, but Grace grabbed his arm with shocking strength. They've already found her, she whispered, her face pale with fear. And then a red laser appeared on the wall, moving slowly across the room until it stopped directly on Derek's chest. Derek's instincts kicked in instantly. Marine training he had buried years ago came roaring back. He dove sideways, pulling Grace down with him as glass shattered. Sniper fire slicing through the study window. Martin, Derek bellowed. From the hallway, his head of security responded with gunfire, returning shots into the night. Grace grabbed Derek's arm. Forget me. Emily, go now. Derek's blood iced. Emily. He bolted upstairs, his heart hammering in his chest. He crashed into Emily's room, only to find her bed empty. Daddy. Her tiny voice trembled from the closet. Derek yanked the door open and pulled her into his arms, clutching her so tightly she whimpered. You're safe, baby girl. I've got you. But in the distance, Derek heard footsteps pounding through the mansion halls. They weren't safe. Not yet. Martin burst into the room, his face slick with sweat. Sir, we're outnumbered. 3 men inside already, more outside. We have to move. Derek's jaw clenched. Tunnel. Now. Behind the wine cellar was a hidden exit, one he had built years ago, paranoid about kidnappers targeting his wealthy family. Clutching Emily, Derek and Grace followed Martin into the dark passage, gunfire echoing behind them. The tunnel opened into the woods behind the estate. The cool night air hit Derek's face like a slap. He carried Emily against his chest, whispering soothing words while his mind raced. Who were these men? Why Emily? And why did Grace claim her blindness was planned? They crouched in the woods, breathless. Derek finally turned to Grace, his voice sharp. You're going to tell me everything. Now. Grace's eyes gleamed with tears in the moonlight. I told you this isn't random. These men, they're part of a network. Wealthy, powerful. They fund secret research programs. Derek's fist tightened. Research? On children? Grace nodded. Children with genetic conditions. Children with potential. They believe blindness isn't a weakness, it's a key. Derek's face hardened. A key to what? Grace's voice cracked. To controlling senses in ways science doesn't yet understand. Emily wasn't supposed to survive the accident, but she did, and that makes her valuable. Derek's chest heaved with rage. Are you saying someone caused her blindness? Grace lowered her gaze. Yes, and I think your wife knew. Derek staggered back as if struck. Claire? Is Claire? No, that couldn't be true. Martin returned from scouting the perimeter, holding something in his hands. A black leather folder dropped by one of the intruders during the firefight. Inside were photographs. Emily at the zoo. Emily at school. Emily in her own bedroom. Asleep. Derek's breath caught. They'd been watching her for months. But one photo made his blood run cold. Claire. Alive. Taken just weeks ago. Derek's hand shook violently. This isn't possible. She's dead. Grace's eyes locked on his. No, she's alive, and she's with them. The forest around them seemed to tilt. Derek's world shattered into pieces. Claire, his wife, alive, and part of the same people who wanted Emily? Before Derek could process, headlights cut through the trees. Black SUVs roared down the dirt path, engines growling like beasts. "Run!" Martin shouted, raising his weapon. Grace grabbed Emily's hand, dragging her into the trees. Derek covered them, adrenaline flooding his veins. Bullets ripped through branches, sparks flashing. But then, Emily stumbled, crying out. She'd tripped over a root. Grace scooped her up, shielding her small body with her own. Derek's heart clenched. For all his suspicions, Grace was risking her life for Emily. He fired until his gun clicked empty, then yanked his daughter and Grace deeper into forest. Behind them, men shouted. Dogs barked. The hunt was on. They reached an abandoned ranger's cabin, barricading themselves inside. Derek paced like a caged animal, running his hands through his hair. Grace sat quietly with Emily, rocking her gently, whispering soothing words. Finally, Derek turned on her. "If Claire's alive, if what you're saying is true, why didn't you tell me from the start?" Grace's lips trembled. "Because I wasn't sure you could handle it. You're a target too, Derek. They're watching every move you make." And she hesitated. "And what?" Her eyes glistened. "And Claire," she wasn't taken. She joined them willingly. Derek felt the air leave his lungs. His knees nearly buckled. His wife hadn't been kidnapped. She had chosen this. Chosen them. Emily stirred in Grace's arms, whispering, "Daddy, why are you crying?" Derek wiped his face with trembling hands. "No reason, baby girl. Daddy's fine." But he wasn't. He was shattered. The cabin door rattled violently. Flashlights cut through the cracks. A cold, familiar voice called out from the darkness. "Derek, it's me. Open the door." Derek froze. He knew that voice. He had memorized it. He had mourned it. Claire, his dead wife, alive. The cabin door creaked as Derek raised his pistol, hand shaking. "Don't," Grace whispered, clutching Emily tighter. The lock snapped. The door swung open slowly. And there she was, Claire. Her golden hair framed her face exactly as Derek remembered, but her eyes, they were colder, sharper. She wore black tactical gear, flanked by two men in suits with rifles. "Hello, Derek," she said softly, almost kindly. Derek's gun lowered on instinct. His voice cracked. "Claire? How?" She smiled faintly. "You look tired. Have you been taking care of her?" Her eyes flicked to Emily. Derek stepped in front of his daughter. "Stay away." Claire sighed, motioning for her men to lower their weapons. "You still don't understand. Derek, I didn't die. I left. For her. For her." Derek roared, pointing at Emily. "You left your daughter." Claire's lips trembled, but her voice stayed steady. "I didn't abandon her. I gave her purpose. Do you think her blindness was a tragedy? No, it was destiny. Emily is special. She can do things sighted children can't. She can sense things." Derek's face hardened. "You mean she's an experiment to you?" Claire's voice rose, fervent, almost fanatical. "She's the key, Derek. Don't you see? They tried with others, my niece Sophie, dozens of children. But Emily, she's the one who survived. The one who adapted. With the right guidance, she'll change the world." Grace's arms tightened around Emily protectively. Her eyes blazed with fury. "You monster." Claire's head snapped toward Grace. "And you?" Still interfering. "You should have disappeared years ago." Derek's hand shook violently. His whole body trembled with rage. "Claire, all this time, while I buried you, while our daughter cried herself to sleep, you were working with them?" Claire's face softened briefly. For a flicker of a second, the woman he loved seemed to surface. "I did it for her, Derek. For us." "No," Derek's voice broke. His eyes filled with tears. "You did it for them. And I swear to you, you're not taking her." The air in the cabin thickened with tension, every second stretching like an eternity. Claire raised her hand gently. "I'm not here to kill you. I'm here to give you a choice. Come with us. Join me. Together, we can protect Emily. Guide her. The people I work with, they don't have to be your enemy. But if you resist, she'll be taken anyway." Derek's jaw clenched so hard it ached. His mind raced. He glanced at Grace. Her eyes burned with silent warning. Emily whimpered. "Daddy, what's happening?" Derek knelt, cupping her face. His voice trembled. "Nothing, baby. Daddy's here." But inside, he knew everything was collapsing. Before Derek could answer, Martin burst through the back door, firing. Bullets ricocheted, glass shattered. One of Claire's guards went down instantly. Chaos erupted. Claire shouted for retreat. Her remaining guards shoved her toward the door, covering her escape. But before she left, Claire locked eyes with Derek. Her lips formed a whisper he read instantly. "Next time, she comes with me." Then she vanished into the night. The cabin was in ruins. Emily sobbed in Grace's arms. Derek stood frozen, staring at the broken doorway where his wife had just stood. Alive, changed, dangerous. Martin cursed, reloading. "Sir, we have to move. They'll regroup." But Derek didn't move. He was paralyzed, torn. His wife wasn't dead. His daughter wasn't safe. And the nanny he had distrusted was the only ally he had left. Grace placed a trembling hand on his shoulder. "Derek, you have to choose. You can run from them or fight them." Derek finally looked at her, his eyes blazing with new fire. No more running. He picked up his gun, chambering around with steady hands. "If they want my daughter, they'll have to go through me." But just as the words left his mouth, Emily gasped. "Daddy, I can hear something." Her small hands pressed against her ears. Grace froze. "What do you hear, sweetheart?" Emily's voice shook. "It's Mommy. She's talking to me. Right now." Everyone in the cabin went still, because Emily wasn't wearing any earpiece. No devices. Her mother's voice was inside her head. The screen cuts to black. Kindly support our channel. Like and subscribe for more interesting and powerful stories.